Another mention of the Greenway always brought me up to date on what he was doing on it. There was, hop in the car, I want to go show you. And he would take me out and show me what they were doing now. The problem was, he engineered each bridge they built so it would be good, steel and stone. And then they ordered the equipment they needed, steel structure maybe. Then when they started, he said, I can't be there all the time. If I leave this guy's laying the stones very long and they do it wrong, it's a real problem to tear back down. So he was just back and forth. It was taking a lot of his time, and he realized it was, but he was still so proud of it. It was like he wanted to say, this is proof that Bill Hall was here. I'm Tom Hollingsworth. I live in Greensboro. Went to school with Bill, Olive High School. And we met back in 1954 when we all of the smaller schools in the area sent their 8th graders to the high school. And we ended up with 4 separate rooms of high school students, of 8th graders. It wasn't a junior high, it was just an 8th grade. And we really had a fun time, but I got to know Bill very well there, along with a couple of his friends, which Frank Stevens also has remained a friend of mine for years. When I think of him, I think of a smile. He had the most happy smile of anybody you ever see, and if you got him to laugh, his laugh got to be a cackle. Before it was over, it was contagious. I grew up a country boy. My dad ran a country store and we had as much business for cattle feed as we had for people feed. His dad and his mom were in a professional type business most of their life. So Bill had the opportunities for a lot more things than I did. But when I started running with him, I decided I liked what Bill liked. He knew it when I first met him that he wanted to be an engineer. Go to NC State. And I didn't have any idea what I wanted to do when we first met. So gradually, as we took courses together, I decided I wanted to be in the chemical field and I wanted to be a chemist. So I stayed and went to High Point College, now High Point University, and he went to NC State. That's where we separated.
I'm Jim Chastain, and I'm a mechanical engineer, as Bill was. We both went to NC State, and I've known Bill since 1986. I had the privilege of working with him when I first joined Heyward as a young sales engineer. Bill and I both worked the Virginia territory out of Charlotte, and he was a mentor for me, and I learned a lot from Bill Hall about how to be successful in this business. He worked for Carolina Power and Light when he got out of school. And I worked for Carolina Power and Light when I got out of school. He went to work for Heyward about the time I went to work for Carolina Power and Light. And we both worked there about 12 years and ended up with the same company. Spent a lot of time traveling together over those years. We got to know each other quite well, became good friends. And again, he was very instrumental in shaping my career with Heyward. Been very successful, and I ascribe much of that credit to Bill's influence and to his example that he set about how to do things. He was indeed very successful, but the biggest success was in the relationships, friendships he had with folks, and how he could be counted on to do a great job. We frequently travel together. We spent a lot of windshield time in the car between Charlotte and Richmond talking about all kinds of things. We were close friends, and he invited myself and Janet, who's my wife, and we went to the weddings of all 3 of his children. And then when after Pat passed away, I mean, we were, of course, we went to her funeral, but some years after she passed, we also went to Bill's wedding to Marianne. So that was pretty neat too. He meant a lot to me personally, and he's a good friend and good compatriot, a good business partner. I trusted him implicitly, and he was a great mentor to me. He had a whole second career in Blowing Rock that I don't know a lot about. I know he and Marianne were involved in a bunch of different stuff. I know the Greenway was very important to him. We got him in the car and headed up to Boone for lunch. And as we were driving up the highway, we went by the Greenway, and he made a comment. He says, "There's the Greenway." That's a really neat thing. I think he felt immense pride that he was instrumental in helping get that done.
The Greenway, there's a lot of components to it, and with Bill's background in engineering, he could speak the language and could understand the next steps that need to be taken to get a project on the ground. One of the last times I saw Bill, we had just had a monarch butterfly emerge from its chrysalis, and this delighted Bill to no end. And I have a picture of him with a butterfly right in front of his face. And his love for nature and being outdoors and wanting others to experience the beauty in which we live, it was contagious. Bill was also a peacekeeper. We had a lot of people on the Middle Fort Greenway committee, and lots of ideas always swirling around, and folks wanting to have their opinions. And Bill always kept the peace. He always helped navigate the conversations and navigate the next steps forward with a project of this scale. And it was so valuable to have him lead and be a team leader with the Greenway project. Bill was not afraid to get out there with a pair of loppers or a weed eater. He was not afraid to put on his work gloves and get out there and actually do the physical labor that it's needed for everyone to enjoy the Greenway Trail. Bill's calm and thought through ways of speaking brought immeasurable success to projects. I'm sure not just this Greenway project, but everything that he worked on in life. I just really appreciate his wise, thoughtful words that he spoke when he was leading a room. So much he contributed to this region with his experience, his empathy, and his non-ego. He would come into the room and he would smile, and it lit the place up.
Well, how did I meet Bill Hall? It was interesting. I had never met Bill, and he was in business here in Blowing Rock, and I had attended my first Blowing Rock Town Council meeting after the election. When the meeting was closed, we got a chance to critique it, and I made some big highfalutin talk about the meeting and everything, and when the meeting got over, this fella came up and shook my hand. He said, "I'm Bill Hall, and I like what you say, and let's do lunch one day." Well, we did. And something like 17 years later, we had our last meal at the Cracker Barrel. Oh, his joviality, his honesty, his attention to detail, and the fact that he just gave a damn about most people. And he loved Blowing Rock. Bill was a very, very active member of the Chamber of Commerce, and sometimes the town would be at opposite poles with things the Chamber wanted. And Bill was the guy that stepped in between some heated conversations and calmed things down, and he got help from Charles Hardin, who was Charles was a people person, Bill was a people person, but neither of them were flamboyant people. He was very much inclined to really try to protect history of this little town. And he was a great conservationist. That got him involved with that trail between here and Bill was really emotionally involved with that trail. He didn't want to see anything torn up for preservation. And that trail does a good job of that.
When he passed away, he tried to do everything he could do to do what he wanted to do in life. I know there's some mention of the Greenway. He was still so proud of it. It was like he wanted to say, this is proof that Bill Hall was here.